Hello, everybody, and welcome to the G4A Show. This is a very special episode because it is episode 100. I, of course, am Jordan, your host, and your maybe only continuous host here. We'll get into that in a minute. There's a little bit of sad news because Sean, our master of audio and video, you are, of course, leaving the show. So this is your final episode. What have you done to us, Sean?
Well, I'm a bit worried that you said, of course I'm leaving. Like, yep, it was scheduled. Episode 100 in the diary. He's out. He's a goner.
I mean, we discussed it, and I felt like we all sort of felt that maybe you were going to slip off into life
let's be honest,
at
I have
some
no
point.
idea what I'm talking about, right? So
Slip
I've been
off
out my
into
depth.
life?
I've been out my depth for a good 2 years now. It's just time for me to focus on other things. I've also
you're a very busy man, right?
Yeah, and I've got other hobbies that I've neglected for the sake of keeping up on games, and I kind of just want to bring a little bit of balance back in my life.
Yes.
And that
is fair enough, and of course you will be around here at some point. I'm gonna make you make the commitment right now, Sean.
Yeah.
Will you come back next year to review Forza Motorsport with me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and there's lots of games that I want to talk about that I will be playing. Things like Diablo 4 when they come out.
So yeah, Sean, you'll be on the show, but maybe not regularly anymore.
Yeah.
And then Luke, you're kind of taking a bit of a step back, but maybe not quite as far as Sean. So do you want to explain to people why that is and what's happening?
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar from Sean. It is just more based in what I'm currently doing with Eat Sleep Game anyway, because like the playthrough stuff is doing relatively better than I expected it to immediately, sort of thing. So I want to put as much time as I can into that, and I've just kind of, since we stopped doing the podcast, I've really struggled to care much about a lot of the
break
industry
for a few
stuff.
weeks, right? And you just tuned out completely.
Just like not paying attention to the industry stuff and just actually enjoying games has been weirdly refreshing.
I'll tell you what, though. And we'll speak about that later, because I actually do understand that. You know, being someone who's so ingrained in the industry, it's just like, it really does affect your enjoyment, and sometimes that is in positive ways, and sometimes it's in negative ways. So
yeah, big
we'll
time.
definitely talk
and like
about that.
It's been a whole switch since I stopped doing reviews and stuff like that. Anyway, and like since I've stopped doing reviews, I've seen other, way bigger names than me that have said kind of a similar thing, that are like, reviews are just nonsense, and I don't want to do that sort of stuff.
And also the other thing is, just to make it very clear to people, we will still live on Eat Sleep Game. That is our kind of video channel. The podcast will still live in all the places that it currently lives. And it just, because Eat Sleep Game is part of the G4A network, which we now, of course, are. And it is a major part, right? Like, you're doing your playthroughs, they're doing really well. You're doing the YouTube shorts, they're doing really well. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and I have some plans to kind of change the show and make it look a little bit different. And you may see that someone is down below me right now that is going to be part of that.
Hello.
You are joining us right now. And do you want to explain to people why you're here, or should I do it?
Yeah. I know, Jordan, that you're kind of transitioning the show into a different kind of thing. And I'm going to hop on and help out for a little bit. So I'm going to be on monthly on the show. And I guess you can kind of go into what's actually going on with the show generally, I guess.
Yeah. So basically what will happen is Luke is going to become, I guess, more like a special guest regularly, a bit like MBZ has been over the course of the last 100 episodes. And MBZ, you're going to be here 1 week a month for a little while at least. We're going to kind of see how it goes, obviously, because you have your own podcast and you're a very busy guy. But we'll kind of just see how it goes and play that by ear. And for as long as we can do that, we will, because it would be nice to get some Nintendo discussion on this podcast.
Of course, yeah.
Never heard of him.
And then I do have two other hosts as well that are going to fill in on the other weeks that I won't yet reveal. So I think you should kind of subscribe and follow us for that when that happens.
I guess it's gonna It's going to be a bit more similar to what you had originally planned, Jordan, because I remember I came on for, I think it was episode, it's either one or two.
And it never released.
And it never released, yeah, because we had issues recording. Because I think initially you wanted it to be like a kind of rotating guest type of show. So
yeah,
I guess it's kind of becoming that in some ways.
Kind of, yeah. And also I think just some new voices will allow for different conversations, right? Because as you guys know, I love Sean and Luke. We've done 100 episodes between us. Like, we have some amazing conversations, but we also agree a lot on a lot of things. And it makes conversations a little bit hard at times because we all sort of have a similar opinion and we don't really know what to say, or one of us doesn't really care about a certain aspect, and it just
I think it also make it better because like the last probably like 18 months have been difficult in that there has not really been a time when we've all been playing the same thing.
No, that's true.
Review episodes have not been a thing because we just haven't
been able to do them really. So I mean, I've obviously done a few with friend of the show Jeff, and he may be more than that soon. So there's a little hint for you.
Oh, that's cute. You're gonna ask about.
And yeah, so we'll have some interesting things going on. Like I said, the show might look a little bit different. We have the Twitch channel now, and I might do some stuff over there. I may even drag Sean in to speak about some movies at some point, because I still want to do that. I want to kind of branch out into talking a little bit about movies as well, and other forms of entertainment. But of course, we're still going to be here. Like every week, I'm going to be here. I'm sure every now and again, I might have to ask someone to fill in for me and kind of have a guest on and whatever, but I will be here. I am game for all, I guess. I've been here since the start. Sean, I think you're the second longest, even though you may have missed more episodes than Luke at this point.
I'm pretty sure if you tally him up, I've been on most of the episodes.
Maybe it's between me and you.
I'm pretty sure I'm Mr. Game for All.
These are power rankings,
Yeah.
Because I definitely went through a run of episodes where I think I wasn't on for about 6 weeks at one point. But yes, obviously, MBZ, I know you're a busy man, so if you need to get out of here, you can go. But before that, I do want to ask you, what have you been playing recently?
Sure, yeah. Oh, I have been getting into the endless hole that is Final Fantasy 14 Online.
Wow, okay.
Someone at work is deep into it, and he's been recommending it for ages and ages. And I started last summer on the free trial thing. And then I was like, oh, this is good fun. Like, it's a good chill. Like, I remember spending like 3 hours one evening just fishing, just sitting there and fishing and doing nothing else, listening to a podcast. It was fantastic. And then I bought it on sale. And what I didn't realize is when you buy the actual game, you then have to start paying for it. As opposed to because the free-to-play thing is like a separate thing you download on Steam. I had no idea. So I bought it on sale, bought all the expansions. I was like, great. I can spend as much time as I want in these early ones and take my time. No, had to pay for the expansion.
It's isn't it a level cap? Like once you get to a certain level, you've got to pay.
I think it's you get to Heavensward, which is the first expansion. You can play all the way through that as a free-to-play player. Right. But yeah, then I hopped back in. I was like, oh, I've only got 30 days left. This is weird. And and then I dropped it because I didn't want to pay for it for that period of time. So I thought I would pay for like 6 months at the moment and just see if I can get through it all. Give myself a bit of a timer, and see if I can get.
I mean, I feel like you should be playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, but
it's on the list. Don't worry. I don't know when it's going to leave Game Pass. That's my one question, because I've played all the Yakuza games through Game Pass, and I think this one got added about this time last year. So if we're on like an 18-month thing, it's probably about 6 months away from going. So I probably should get on it quite soon. But even if I don't get to it before it leaves, I'll buy that game regardless. Because
you're a fan of the series now, right? Like
huge.
You've played
Absolutely
all of the games.
Yeah, they're incredible. One of my favorite series at this point. But yeah, diving deep on that. I'm also 85 hours into Elden Ring, so I'm just taking on big commitments at this point. No.
I think I got to about 15 hours into that game, and then I was just like, I want to play more of this. I'm just not sure I want to play it on my own.
I know what you mean.
Not to brag or anything, but I died 65 times to that fucking dragon.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, yeah, it's an incredible game. It's one of the best things
really
I've
is,
played.
for sure.
It really is.
So yeah, I'm hoping I'm a big Xenoblade fan. I'm waiting for Xenoblade 3. So my goal is to finish Elden Ring before Xenoblade 3 comes out. That's my current task. Don't know if I can do
When's that
before
scheduled?
then.
When's that coming?
It's 29th of July, so I've got about a month. I've been playing Elden Ring since
Right.
March, so it's been a good 3 months. So I'm close to the end, though. I think I'm pretty close to the end.
It's gonna be interesting, you know, because I'm sure, and I guess I'll announce it now. We'll arrange it, but I'll speak to Luke and we'll figure it out. But we will do an end of the year kind of game of the year show again, as we did last year. We'll try and get some guests on again. I mean, I can lead on organizing that if you need me to, Luke. But it's going to be super interesting to see what people's game of the year is this year, because it's been such a strange year, right?
I feel like it'll be the people who played Elden Ring and the people who did not.
Well, the people who played Tunic. Tunic is incredible. If you get to the end of Tunic, there are some astonishing things in that game.
Yeah. So far, I don't think it's better than Death's Door.
Interesting.
I really like it, but it's not quite. I'm just like, it's not Death's Door.
It's way above Death's Door for me personally. There's the stuff that happens at the end of Tunic. Like there's a big puzzle, like a Fez-like puzzle at the end that is probably my favorite puzzle in a video game. It's astonishing stuff.
Wow, I need to play more of that game. I started it. But...
My plan is to wrap up the quarry and then wrap up.
Yes.
Wrap up Tunic, because Elden Ring's going to take me forever. So that's that's just in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all you've been playing then, MBZ.
Yeah, it's all good for me.
Fair enough. Well, yeah,
guys,
we will see you in probably a few weeks. I think you're next scheduled in a couple of weeks to record with me. So
absolutely,
we will see you in the future, and maybe we'll have some Nintendo news by then. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, we'll see. Hopefully coming. Awesome. Well, have a great one, guys. Enjoy your last episode. Have a good time. See ya.
Bye.
Right, guys. So I want to talk about, obviously we've got some news today in terms of things that have been going on in gaming to talk about, but I also just want to talk about the show, right? Like we've done 100 episodes and it's crazy. Like I never thought we would get this far. I don't know about you guys, but we're just kind of doing it. And then it just turns into, let's do this and do that. And we've had some amazing guests on. So I guess the one question I wanted to ask you guys about the show is, what was your favorite episode? And obviously you may have different ones, and then we can kind of discuss those. So Sean, what was your favorite episode of the show so far?
Good question. You know what? I go back to some of the earlier days where we weren't so much focused around news, and we were maybe doing a lot of the top 5s or top 10s or whatever. And the one that comes to mind was actually looking back at when we all came up with a list of our favorite games under 60, I think it was, on Metacritic.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was fun.
I remember that, and I remember being amazed that there was some overlap with our favorite games, like the Summer Olympics game for 360 and stuff like that. So
we should still, like, if that's available on like PC or whatever, we should totally do like a video where we will just fuck about on that.
Absolutely. I am 100% in for that. So let's figure out a way. We'll do that for sure. Luke, what about you? What was one of your favorite episodes?
My head instantly goes to Bithell, because he was so much fun to chat to. And like, I felt like
and that was, of course, quite a recent one, really.
Yeah. And it just felt like the most natural guest, because he was like bantering immediately.
Yeah. I mean, maybe part of that, no disrespect to any of our other guests, of course, but maybe it is he's British, so he
absolutely
he got our humor instantly. Do you know what I mean?
He just is that humor. I'm just scrolling back through, because
while you're doing that and you think of some others, I really did like David Jaffe. Like at the time, he was by far our biggest guest, probably still one of our biggest guests. And he was just in a similar way, but also different to Bithell. He was just very fun to talk to. Do you know what I mean?
Mostly because you didn't know what he was about to say next. Just a shotgun.
But that's what I love about Jaffe, is he will just tell you what he thinks, right? And that creates sometimes massive controversy, as we've seen. but other times you get amazing thoughts out of him that, you know, you just wouldn't hear from anybody else, really. Like, he's very honest and very open with what he thinks. So yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. And that was another one that just felt quite natural, because it was very, like, going into it, I was very much worried about, oh, maybe this is going to turn into a bit of a fanboy thing. Because, like,
Sure, of course, yeah.
you know, within the industry, he is a big name and he means something. And it's like, oh, maybe this is going to be a bit of a fanboy thing. And then it just felt like four friends talking, do you know what I mean? And he made fun of us for being British, which I thought was hilarious.
And fair, and definitely fair, yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of mine. And then obviously the other one was our first big guest, really, which was Mike from Outside Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that episode just because, one, he didn't have to do that. That was when we were basically nobody at all. Like, we had maybe 5 viewers a week at that time. And he just kind of gave his time up to have a conversation with us, and I really enjoyed it. So those were the two that kind of really stood out to me. I would have said Bithell as well, but because you brought it up,
I think the one where we all pitched Marvel games was a lot of fun as well, because like we all
Joe was on for that one.
Joe was on for that one.
I remember I blew you all out of the water. You guys were so
you had some
prepared.
fucking excellent. I went for like a universe, and you just came with these sick indie like games. Like, you just absolutely
everybody liked every single one of your pictures.
Yeah, I remember it.
And now they're doing a TV show based on it. Are you getting any royalties?
No. They asked, but I just said you keep it. You guys are clearly struggling.
Oh yeah, they're a bit cash strapped. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's you know, some of our favorite episodes. Also, what I wanted to do is just say to anyone who's kind of joining us for the first time or has only been around recently listening to the show, please go back and listen to some of those earlier episodes, because we had some really interesting ones. Like, another one that sticks out to me was when we had Spencer Allen on, the disabled gamer who made his own controller before an accessibility controller was even a thing. You know, like, that guy designed his own controller. And that, to me, because of what Game for All is at its heart, was a really important episode of, like, let's spread this message of accessibility and get people to kind of understand what it is like to game as someone with a disability. I think is really important, because a lot of gamers maybe kind of push accessibility to the side right now because they don't understand why it's important. So, you know, that I would say go back and listen to some of those earlier episodes if you are a recent fan of the show, because those were some of our best episodes, even though we were kind of figuring things out. And we had the running joke of I didn't have the pop filter for ages. All those sorts of things. There's a couple of episodes in there where Luke was green. So that was fun. See if you can find those. And I think, you know, it's just crazy to me that we're 100 episodes into this show that we kind of, you know, I asked Sean to come on one day just as a guest. Then he stayed. I don't really know what the reason for that was. It just happened. And then we just have evolved into this thing, and you know, this is quite sad for me, because the show wouldn't be what it is without you guys. So doing it without you is going to be very weird. But at the same time, it's exciting, you know, because I can kind of do some things that maybe were harder to organize before because of our schedules and all being busy and stuff like that. Luke, as you were saying, you can kind of concentrate on the playthrough stuff and do some more stuff with that, which is kind of crucial to what we're now trying to do as the G4A network, and kind of just giving people all these different things, right? So I'm sure that there'll be some more review episodes now of the show, and like Sean was saying earlier, he'll kind of jump in when he's got certain games that he wants to speak about that we're kind of playing at the same time. I've committed him to Forza Motorsport, And I'm sure Luke will be on a few episodes to talk about some games as well. Maybe
Death
the
Stranding
Quarry,
2.
Death Stranding 2. Maybe the Quarry might be one for Luke to jump in on because he's been playing it through recently, and I will be playing it soon.
Trying to.
So potentially Luke will jump in for a review of that. But yeah, I mean, so I guess the message to people is this isn't goodbye. This is just kind of see you later. Sean will still be helping a little bit on the technical side here and there. So he is still the master of audio and video, really. He's just taking a long break.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was a really happy accident out of a shit situation, which was COVID. You know, like we were all stuck at home.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing between me and you, Sean, was we had only met once in person. And then we end up doing this show together for 100 episodes, you know?
Yeah, no, it's the first time it's actually happened to me. Like, obviously, you hear stories all the time of people meeting, you know, good friends over the internet. But yeah, I never thought it would happen in my 30s, you know? So yeah, it was a cool thing. I'm super grateful. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah. I feel like I've, at least as someone who has to listen to the show every week, you know, as I'm editing it and whatnot.
And I hope you will continue to listen to the show.
Of course. I podcast my bread and butter at work. So, but I will. The thing I'm grateful for is I've got better at it. You know, like it's not an easy thing to just talk into a microphone, into a camera. And I know you guys are very reluctant to listen back to yourselves for one reason or another, and I totally get that. But it's like it's been a really useful tool, and it will carry on beyond just doing podcasting.
For sure.
There's a skill to it.
I mean, for me, you know, it's helped me a lot in my work because I used to hate speaking to people just on these conference calls and things like that. Like, I just wasn't confident at kind of speaking outside of a situation where I'm face to face with a friend or something. That would be fine, but talking to people who aren't actually there was always a bit weird for me. And I think I became a lot more confident with that over time. And people always tell me that I'm quite good at it now. And I kind of have this natural flow of being able to just bullshit through a conversation. And I don't see it still, which is weird, but I do know for sure that I'm more confident with it. And that will help me in other places in my life as well. So I am grateful for that. And yeah, I guess thank you to you guys for enabling me to do this show, because it, as I said, it wouldn't exist without you. I mean, Luke, you just kind of appeared magically one day. Again, it was a weird situation where we sort of asked you to come on for one episode. Sean didn't know you at all at that time. And I kind of knew you obviously from school, but we didn't know what a connection we had. And it's weird because now I would say that the three of us are probably lifelong friends, right? Like, you know, it's crazy that this has all happened, like Sean said, through COVID and everything. And we've just kind of somehow brought together this group of, I don't know, in-betweeners, I guess. You know, we could be like the in-betweeners of gaming. Yeah, it's weird, man.
I'm embarrassed to admit I don't get that reference.
Oh,
I've never watched
the
it.
Canadian in me, I have no idea what the in-betweeners are. But
it's a TV show that I never watched.
Okay, right. So I'm not the only one out of the league.
No,
but okay, all right.
Yeah.
I never got it.
I'm gonna act like we're Little Rascals or Goonies, right?
Goonies, yeah. Goonies, okay.
I was going to say Ninja Turtles, but whatever.
Well, that would be appropriate to gaming at the moment, I guess.
Sure.
With the game recently that you may see some of on the channel at some point. I may have a review episode at some point. Who knows? But with all that being said, I guess, guys, the three of us should talk about what we've been playing on a podcast for the final time. So, Sean, what have you been playing? Because I know you've been a very busy guy for the last little while in life. But yeah, what have you been playing over the last few weeks?
FIFA, that's like my go-to, especially as I've been busy. I'm back in Division 1 on the old PS5, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
When playing seasons,
It's coming to Game Pass very soon, so are you going to do it again on Xbox?
probably. Although I've got used to playing it on the PlayStation, I quite enjoy it. Just the controller and using the DualSense, but yeah, I probably will. Been playing a little bit of Fall Guys, the new free-to-play Fall Guys on Switch.
We definitely need to play some of that for sure.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed some of the new levels, some of the new modes. I bought the season pass. I'm going to play it quite a bit with my wife.
Now wife, which is a bit of news for people.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. I don't think it's all that brilliant on the Switch, but there is that convenience factor, and it's not a very
I mean,
game.
I won't be playing on the Switch, but I think I am going to download it on Xbox and just see how it runs there.
It kind of reminds me when I was playing, when you try out Fortnite on the Switch, and it's like you're not going to win many games when you're playing cross-platform, but do you really care? It's not really the point.
For sure.
I'm happy to do it. And then the final thing I've been playing is I've restarted once again Cyberpunk.
Wow. Okay.
So I've got through the sort of opening tutorial, rolled the opening credits and whatnot.
Yes.
So I'm enjoying that. Like that game is pretty good now. I'm curious to actually see that one through.
I mean, as we know, that was such a weird one. I remember covering it on the show for quite a while, and it was just what a weird situation, because it was one of those that it sort of felt like a lottery, right? Like if you were lucky enough to have a very good experience with it at launch, you realized what a good game was underneath, but that good game was just buried under so much technical shit at the start, at the launch, that it just, I hope that people can discover that game over the next kind of year or two, especially as they, they're still working on DLC and stuff like that. So as they start to release that DLC, hopefully people can kind of rediscover it or discover it for the first time and realize what a game was actually there. Like, I'm not saying it was a perfect game, but it was a great game that was underneath there if you were lucky enough to not have too many technical issues, which I know Luke did. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's still one I really want to play on the channel. But I don't know when I'm going to do it, for one, and I don't know that it's ever going to be fixed. So at this point, every time they kind of update it, it just seems to trigger something else. I got to say,
I when the next gen version came out, I was struggling with crashes. Just like the game itself was fine. It was just there weren't too many bugs within the experience. It was just the game crashing and the hardware crashing. And
that makes a huge difference to the experience, right? Like, I feel like most people can put up with a couple of bugs in their game here and there if those things aren't game breaking. But when your game is fully crashing and it's crashing your system as well, that just just is kind of the end of that experience.
Just so in your face you can't ignore them, which is kind of the issue I had.
Anyway, I would recommend it now. I think it's stable. It plays really well.
Good
the
to know.
performance is good. So and it looks great. Like, I mean, that's why I'm pushing through and playing it now, is because I want to play it in a time where it still looks exceptional. Like,
if you leave it too long, you'll kind of, it will still be a good game to play, but you won't have that element of, oh, this looks great, right? It will be, like, one day it looks a little bit old.
One day you'll try and play it because, someone says, oh yeah, KOTOR is one of the best games ever made. And it's like, they're right, but if you didn't play it at the right time, then something's lost, So go play it now while you can. And it's just cheap, right? You can get it anywhere. What
you just said just there reminded me of an episode that I always wanted to do that we never really got round to. But maybe we can plan it for the future and actually plan it and organize and have you guys back on, which is, I'd love to do an episode around games that you had to play at the right time. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you just mentioned there, like there are certain games that if you played them at the right time, you recognize them as one of the best games ever made. But if you played them now, you would kind of go, oh, that isn't good. And I think there are so many games like that maybe
You just want another excuse to talk about Shenmue.
I mean,
get it.
I mean, that's always me. That's always me. We know.
I'm
that
with
one.
you on that one, though. To be fair, that game is a time and place game. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Luke, obviously, people who kind of watch on YouTube will probably know what you've been playing recently. But
Yes.
for anybody who doesn't watch on YouTube, what have you been playing recently?
I've been trying to play The Quarry. It's been half of a nightmare.
Okay, so no spoilers from me.
I'm not in the good way.
How are you feeling about it so far? And then talk about the technical experience you've had, because I know that's been the problem.
They kind of go hand in hand. So like when it's running and get going, especially because I'm getting into like some good meat of the story now. I quite like it. I do quite like it. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Until Dawn was.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, the writing doesn't feel good enough, and any that stuff. It kind of feels like Until Dawn was a one-off because it doesn't feel like they've been able to replicate.
Yeah,
the kind of feel of that, and it does feel like.
I mean, it's interesting. I obviously haven't played The Quarry yet, but I would say that with you saying that, I kind of I forgive them for that in Dark Pictures stuff because those are lower budget games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to see that The Quarry as a higher budget game again maybe isn't hitting that height of Until Dawn.
No, definitely not.
So maybe it was a one-off, as you say.
Yeah, and it feels a bit too steeped in the cliches. It's kind of
like they're purposely cliche, right? But they're kind of from what I've seen, they maybe do go a little bit too far with it sometimes.
That's kind of what I liked about Until Dawn, is it felt like one of those kinds of movies, but it didn't feel like it was just like a straight rip-off sort of thing. Yeah. Whereas this kind of feels like whichever one has Camp Counselors.
So I did play. So I played the prologue part of this game because, as you know, I play these games in co-op. Like I plan to play it with friend of the show, Steve, and hopefully I can arrange to have him on for the review episode that we eventually do as well. Because that's just the way that I like to experience these games. I think co-op adds something to the experience. Like it's one of the few story-driven cases where I do actually think co-op significantly adds to the experience. However, I did play the prologue and I played the first little bit after that, kind of the initial setup of the story, if you will. And it just felt very, very cheesy. And some of that is a good thing because it's like you get what they're going for. And then some of it is like, you're going too far now.
I think it's episode 2 that I did where I'm just straight up like, I don't like any of these people. I'm not like striving to let any of these people survive because they're all just obnoxious and annoying and whatnot.
Yeah.
The opening's really good. The opening bit's really good. And once you get past that, because there is quite a boring hour or so.
Yeah.
I think it's like chapter 2 because chapter 2 lingers.
Okay.
And it is just very talky and not a lot happens.
Yeah.
And it's not even really kind of set up talky. It is just talky.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of it could be cut to like just move things along, and there's a lot of just meandering about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was extremely boring. But now where I am is far more interesting. We're actually getting into some meat of stuff, and the game keeps crashing. So that's awesome.
Oh, that's fun.
I had literally like a 20-minute go where I was like, yeah, this is good. Okay, cool. We're just on a black screen. So I come out, go again. I'm like, yeah, we get into some sick stuff, but it crashes, and then I lose my end of stuff. So I've got nothing from that. So I'm going to do like a weird kind of recap of the important things that happen.
Okay.
And then after then, some more interesting stuff's happening. But oh boy, every time it cuts to a new scene, you've literally got to wait. You will have, or I will, because I don't know if anyone else is going to have this issue. I'll have the scene play with no sound, the scene freeze, sound kick in to catch up to where it was.
Oh, okay.
And then it will just kind of start again and repeat itself. And it's brutal because it was doing that at first, then there was an update which seemed to fix it, and then it's now just doing it again. And like I reset my PC and stuff like that just in case, and
that's not
it's
good.
it's just brutal. So like it's
and you know what, the worst thing about a technical experience like that is when it's in a game that you are genuinely starting to enjoy,
or in a game where like atmosphere is such a big thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're supposed to be in like a tense atmosphere, and it's
because
all like hey,
it's like one of the things I've heard, and I saw a little bit of it, of course, in the small part that I played. But one of the things that I've heard about the game is the performances are genuinely good, but there's a problem with like the eye line of people, and some of the kind of facial animations are a little bit weird.
There's a woman named Emma in it, and her mouth does things I've never seen any human mouth do. I'm convinced she's either a robot or an alien. Convinced. And they've all got this weird obsession with bears. Mm-hmm. They're all like really stupid. It's like, oh, it must be bears. It's like,
well, fair enough.
Well, you've seen the thing. It looks nothing like a fucking
So
bear.
other than The Quarry, which of course is the latest big release, really,
beg your pardon. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a big
that's what I was
just
going to say. What else have you been playing?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Let's not talk too much about this one, because this may be one that I get you on to speak about if you have time.
I mean, it's a 2-hour game.
But yeah, let's kind of just on a basic level. How do you feel about this game?
It's dope. I love it. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind
Absolutely.
of, I said in because I'm only the video I've done is it. I'm not gonna go back to it and do more. I'm just gonna do a one-off for that. In the video, I mentioned that it's kind of like, it gives me kind of like the Sonic Mania vibes, where it's like, this is kind of the game it should have been all along, sort of thing.
Yeah,
they've done Ninja Turtles games and they haven't been good. And like going back to this sort of style of stuff, and with Streets of Rage,
and they treat it with so much care as well, right? Like you can see the care they have for this franchise.
And it feels like this is kind of, it feels like we could be on the precipice of a sort of renaissance for this style of game. And
I know there have been a few now, right?
Not even necessarily this style of game, but kind of this sort of era between like this Sonic, I'd kill for Simpsons Arcade, get a similar thing, where they kind of just go back to what works and then find small innovations in that, whether it's modernizing it or what have you. But it feels like there's a bunch that is coming forward like this, and Sonic Mania and Streets of Rage and stuff like that, where it's just finding its rhythm again. But very good.
I agree. If I was to give you a top 5 of the year right now, this game would be in it. I wouldn't tell you where, but it would be in my top 5. It's the
most fun I've had this year so far.
So, yes, there's that.
Wonderful. I had played FIFA as well.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting FIFA to come up for you.
It sucks, but I can't stop. It's really not good. I've had to lower the difficulty because it's so bad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, it is genuinely bad. Like, in career mode, I don't know about playing online with other people or what have you, but like, it's just completely random. Defending is not a thing.
Yeah, there's so much inconsistency in the game, right?
Yeah, and like goalkeepers will be like, yeah, I'm stopping. Oh, it went through you. Oh, fucking A. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, the amount of times I've just been like, nah, you know what, fuck it. But then I'm like, I don't know, there's
always something about FIFA, right? Like,
it's got an itch. Yeah,
it's one of those. It's one of those games where even when it's not great, it's still the best option we have for that kind of game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd kill for an alternative, even if it was like a stupid like cartoony one.
I mean, maybe we will get a decent alternative at some point within the next couple of years.
When I first downloaded it, because obviously it was on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Literally, one of the first games I played was against Man City, and I shit you not, I swear to God, I did not touch the ball once. I did not make a single fucking tackle because it was impossible. Like, you just can't get the ball off of them. It was fucking ludicrous.
Fair enough.
Get good, Luke.
No.
I mean, harsh.
I mean, I hadn't played it in 18 months, so I was like, maybe I'm just like not that good now. So I lowered the difficulty, and it was still a thing. I'm like, oh no.
I was going to say there is always an element with FIFA where you do have to because they make subtle changes in how each game plays,
Mm.
you are kind of relearning the game each time.
Yeah.
And
It's hard
that's-
to relearn a game that's so inconsistent, though.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the inconsistency within that, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else, or should I move on to what I've been playing?
I don't think so. If it's on the channel, I've probably played it, but I don't remember otherwise.
Fair
I
enough.
beat a dragon in Elden Ring. That was
And it
that
sat
was
on
good.
your head as well. So
It did multiple unpleasant things to me. Yeah, some pleasant things as well.
one time it fully disappeared. I saw that.
Yeah, that was scary. So I got it down to like half health, and it just straight up like fucking just went. And I was like, I don't want to start it again, but it didn't have to, thankfully. So I beat it.
So for me, I haven't actually been playing too much, but I did, and this goes into one of the things I wanted to talk about today. That is obviously PlayStation Plus. The new PlayStation Plus has launched in the UK today at time of recording. And I decided to play a little bit of Toy Story 2. I know that may sound random to you.
It doesn't, because I'm going to do the same fucking thing, mate. When it launched today, I went on my PC. I was like, please be there, please be there, please be there. Yeah, it is. I'm fucking, once I'm done with the quarry, I'm doing it.
And it's so like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not sure I'm going to play the entire game, but it was nice to just kind of jump back in and have that little bit of nostalgia and just kind of play a game from my childhood. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's something about that. It's kind of like when, I don't know, maybe when Sean goes back and plays a SNES game or something. I don't know. There's some, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. There are a few other kind of backwards compatible games I've downloaded from that catalog. Siphon Filter being one, because I saw that now has trophies. So I thought, oh, it would give me a reason to go through that game. And I never actually finished it back in the day. So that would be an interesting experience. And other than that, I've been looking for something to play, really. So maybe I should ask you guys for some recommendations, because what I want to play right now is a good RPG game.
You could play Nier.
That isn't happening. Because I can't do it again. I love it, but it's like,
it's not doing it again. It's finishing the
Just do it for the
game,
first time,
mate.
Jordan, you know?
Yeah, you haven't even done. You've got like a third in, and
Bash it out.
Yeah, I know. But yes,
it's like eating the top layer of a trifle and being like, "Yeah, that was sick." It's like, yeah, but you haven't actually got to the.
I know.
In a Friends reference, you haven't got to the meat of the trifle. And I don't like Friends, so that was impressive.
How did you
To be
even
fair,
come up with that one?
That's a really good analogy, because I hate to break it to you, but every layer is like a different ending, and it starts with cream, right?
Yeah.
But that game just gets weirder and worse the further you get.
Whoa.
Weirder and worse.
Once you get to the meat and peas, you're just like, what the fuck am I playing?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Asia Kotaro, man, like, he's a weird dude.
True.
His Instagram is just like pictures of dogs outside of shops.
There was part of me recently where I almost, and I haven't, this is something I probably will do over a long period of time, just because I think it would be cool to go back and do in some ways. I almost started replaying Assassin's Creed games, because I own every Assassin's Creed game, and they, of course, recently celebrated their 15th anniversary, which is crazy, really, for a franchise that has had so many entries as well during that time, for it to still be going. And obviously it's changed over time what it is, but
to change again as well, from the sounds of it.
But you know, I just and then I thought to myself, like, the thing is, I actually really like what the Assassin's Creed games are now. I didn't when they first changed them. When they first changed them to the kind of more RPG style game that they are now, I didn't actually like it, because to me it wasn't Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would still make that argument that those kind of games aren't really Assassin's Creed. I think that franchise has lost its identity in that sense. but the games as they exist now, taking the name away, are still great games. Like they are genuinely great RPG games. And I would recommend them to people because they of course added the 60 FPS mode to Assassin's Creed Origins recently.
Yeah.
And that also came to Game Pass as well. Of course, if you're upgrading your PlayStation Plus, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is on there, because I was looking at that today and I was like, do I play Valhalla again? Because I never finished Valhalla.
I was tempted by that because I haven't even played it. Don't own it.
So I may play something like that. And then Sean started talking about Cyberpunk earlier, and I was like, maybe I'll play Cyberpunk again because I haven't played it since they did the next gen patch. So that'll be interesting to see. Because I don't know why. I don't know if it's the kind of knowing that Starfield is coming, but I'm just really in for an RPG right now.
Is it coming?
It is coming. It's coming.
In fact,
I'm just holding off for Starfield.
It's as far away now as it was when it was announced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Big time. You're gonna be waiting a while, bro. I have a game that you should play.
Go on.
A second, I'll find the name of it because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I played it on Switch and it was sick.
Okay.
When it works.
Do you know what I almost bought the other week, and I'm glad I didn't? I almost bought Persona 5 because it was on sale on PlayStation for like £12.
If you have the option, just don't get Persona 5, get Persona 5 Royal.
So this was, it was Persona 5 Royal was on sale for like 12 quid, and I almost bought it, and I was like, I'm going to wait because I have a feeling.
Have you played Catherine?
No, I haven't.
Hey, Catherine.
I forgot to say, I started Catherine, and it's quite interesting. I want to get back to it. I don't know. I kind of just stuck it on a whim, and it's weird. It's weird.
I like how Sean's describing it as it's weird.
Oh, it is.
Maybe I should. It is.
Play that's why I adore it so much because boy does that go places.
Maybe I'll play it.
You should play a game called Pool Panic.
Okay.
It's a weird fucking game.
Okay, I'll look that one up as well.
I think it's an Adult Swim game, but it's a weird pool game. It's sick.
So yeah, I obviously wanted to talk a little bit about PlayStation Plus. Luke, I know you've obviously upgraded because you already had PS Plus and PS Now, so yours kind of gets carried over for free. Sean, what I wanted to know is, will you be upgrading your subscription, or are you staying on the basic tier of PlayStation Plus?
Yes, I will be going extra. At the moment, there's a couple of games that are like things I definitely want to try out, which are Demon's Souls and Valhalla, which make the upgrade worthwhile.
Yeah, because there's two meaty games there that are worth the money, right, to upgrade.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping Returnal gets a second life through being on the service.
I think it could. I think it's one of those games that really could find a quite big audience, because the amount of people I know who admittedly wanted to try that game but weren't prepared to pay the £70 for it.
Yeah.
Like, there was a huge number of people, I think Joe, friend of the show, was one of them. Like, Joe is looking forward to trying that game because it's not his traditional style of game, but he likes the look of it. So.
And I'm desperate to play through that game in co-op. So again,
I'm here, Sean.
Yeah. No,
so...
I was about to say, like, if you're looking for stuff to play, I'm keen to play it. Because
I'll get it reinstalled today, and
it was a bit like It Takes Two coming to Game Pass.
It helps it to find a bigger audience, right? You
can convince a more casual player. It might not be their genre. Like, I get it. Returnal's like, it's a big investment for a niche game. So
that's as we've said before. That's one of these amazing things about these style of services, right? Is they do allow you to try games that you wouldn't traditionally try. And sometimes that can lead to you discovering a brand new genre that you're a real fan of. So there is, for some games, these services are nothing but a win, right? And I feel like for Returnal in its current state, where it is now probably having sold as many copies as it's ever going to sell, being on a service like this really will help it to find a new audience. And then when that audience starts talking about it and talking about how good it is, maybe that will persuade more people to go, oh, okay, maybe I'll sign up to a month of this service to try it out, or maybe I'll buy the game when it goes on sale or whatever. So Yeah, I'm with you. I hope that games like that do find a new life and second audience through this service.
In a typical Luke fashion, I'm going to shit on it a little bit.
Go on.
I don't know what it's like on PlayStation because I haven't booted it up on there. The PC app is fucking dreadful.
Oh, it has its
Is
own
it
app.
bad? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's all just like I put a picture on Twitter earlier because in the must play section it's got Miles Morales.
Oh
3
yeah, I
times,
did see that.
which is funny. I haven't clicked on them to see if there's actually any difference between them, but it's funny. But it's all those like scrolling bars, and you have to go on this side, and it scrolls slowly and further over to top. There's no search function. Like, it's a fucking dreadful app. Like, for discoverability, you literally just got to sit there and hold your mouse over here and be like, no, don't care. It's like a sushi bar.
So it's
It's like a
worse.
really shit one.
Is it worse than the Xbox app on PC? That's what I want to know.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
I don't mind the Xbox app, only in that
I don't think it's that
9
bad.
times out of 10 when I boot up the Xbox app, most of the images don't load.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So again, like with all the scrolling bars, there's just no images.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
Yeah,
but
but
it's a bit clunky, but it's not. Too
Yeah, I feel that. The Xbox One isn't. It's not that much better. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine, but it's just like, what? Why is this the way to display stuff? Like, it's crap.
Yeah,
It
I know
moves
it's weird,
quicker,
right? Stuff is
it's
weird on
snappier than the
PC.
PlayStation One, but like, why not just ape Steam and make it look like Steam and make it
Yeah,
just clean and easy?
for
Like,
sure.
Steam
for
have fucking
sure.
mastered this. This all looks crap.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same thing. The Xbox One is cleaner.
Yeah.
But they are pretty much the same thing.
To as a final thing on PlayStation Plus, what I do want to say, because obviously some people might be out there and they might be like, "Oh, is it really worth the money or whatever?" And
Toy Story 2, yes.
having looked at the library and kind of seen the games that I've downloaded and how much it cost me to upgrade and stuff like that, what I figured out was I've downloaded around £55 worth of games, and my upgrade cost me £100, but I got 2.5 years of premium for that
Yeah, I think
£100.
I've got some way.
And I would say that if your upgrade fee is anywhere between like 20 and 50 quid, right now that is probably worth it. Like, there's probably something on there that makes that kind of 20 to 50 pounds worth it. I know our friend Joe I think his upgrade fee, because he only has a few months left, is like £25. But it's like, for that £25, there are probably 3 or 4 things on there that he will play, Returnal being one of them, right?
Mhm.
So I think it depends who you are, of course, with all of these services. There's not as much for me personally. For me, there was about 5 games in the entire library that I'm interested in playing. But it's one of those things that this library will be added to over time. They've already said that.
Yeah, cool.
And yes, okay, it's not going to have day one games, but if you're someone who's picking up a PlayStation 5, or you've got a PlayStation 5 recently and maybe you don't have all of the kind of PS5 games, or if you haven't played Miles Morales, for example, or you haven't played Returnal, or you haven't played Demon's Souls, there's 3 games there alone that you can try that kind of make it worth the money.
Just to clarify as well, it will have day one games, just not The Last of Us.
Of course,
God of
yeah.
War, stuff like that. It will just have those, maybe like a Days Gone.
Because something like Stray, of course, which is a kind of second party.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
That's
to
going to
that.
be a day one game.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
So yeah, I think there is value there. I'm not sure right now. Of course, everyone will have the Game Pass comparison. This thing isn't trying to be Game Pass for one.
It's not.
So let's not even do that really. But if you want to do that, yes, it's not got the Game Pass value right now. But if you are someone who's only on PlayStation, this is a great service. The only thing it's missing, the only thing people could argue it's missing that Game Pass has over it, is the day one first party releases.
Which doesn't amount to a lot right now.
No.
So right now,
Precisely.
when you're comparing them side by side right now, like they're I would say they're pretty equal. It's all relative to what you've played before.
For sure.
if you're coming into PlayStation on the back of being a Xbox One player, there's so much there for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you want to give it a foot up, it's got God of War, it's got Horizon, it's got
Yeah.
Bloodborne,
Yeah,
it's it has got these big
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
and it
only-
also has Balan Wonderworld.
They haven't really like gone for it day one, but I assume that's because they want to. Over the next 6 months, you're going to get things like Ratchet
They'll
on
add,
there.
yeah,
You're going to
they'll
get the
add
Uncharted
considerable.
collection, and
Yeah.
I think they've gone for the Nintendo style of rollout with this stuff, where yes, they could have gone way bigger on day one of release of this service, and I think the reaction from people may be different if they had done that. But what they've done is kind of smart, because they can have each month, oh yeah, now Ratchet's on here. Now, do you know what I mean? They've got enough stuff in their
GT7,
back
yeah.
catalogue that actually they can
GT7
have
would be a good one for it.
considerable ads each month. And obviously Game Pass has that stuff as well, but they have to go out and search for it, right? They're kind of getting they're getting third-party games day one and stuff like that, but they don't have Ratchet.
4
Do you know what I
generations
mean? They don't
worth.
have.
Yeah, I was to say, like, they don't have necessarily the kind of enamor with their back catalogue that PlayStation can.
Precisely, and
Like,
that's
we're talking about Toy Story 2, and like, that's a big thing.
and
It's a
that's
big
kind
game
of
that's
where-
kind of lost the time a bit.
That's kind of where I think the two services aren't even trying to do the same thing. Like Game Pass to me, I was talking about this yesterday.
The Uncharted collection's already on there, by the way.
Uncharted, is it Uncharted 4 that's not there then?
One of them isn't there, I think.
Yeah,
One
they've
of
got
them
Lost
isn't
Legacy, but something's missing.
there. But it's one of those things where, like, I was talking about it
Uncharted 4's on
yesterday,
here.
and and Game Pass to me feels very much like this service is aimed at people who they're trying to take people from other places, right? They're trying to get you into their ecosystem using this service.
I think that
Whereas I think what PlayStation are doing is trying to add value to people who are already in their ecosystem.
Yeah. Xbox
And that's
is
the difference.
all about Game Pass. This is supplementary to PlayStation. This isn't like the be all end all. If you don't have it, you're not necessarily missing out, because if you don't have it, you're not interested.
Well,
in
it's
that
like
sort
I
of
said.
stuff.
It's like I said to you guys in our private chat earlier, that I've obviously signed up and I've got these 2 years of this service. But I don't know if I'll keep it after that. It kind of depends where the service is at that point, right? Because, like I said, I looked through the entire catalog, and of all of there are more games in there that I would play if I didn't own them. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are some very strong games in this catalog. But the problem is I either own them or I just am not interested enough, right? So it's like I've downloaded 5 games, and I don't know how many games they have in the catalog right now, but it's a big
I think it's
number.
about 300 and something, right?
And so for me, it's that thing where it's like 5 games, and I will play Stray day one, obviously. I'll play a few other things like that. I think it's almost too early to judge this service right now, because right now I'm not sure what the value is in the sense of, is premium actually worth the £100 a year they're charging for it? I'm not so sure. Part of that will be decided on how often do new games come, how long does it take for games to get added to the service after release?
I don't think it's just new games.
Yeah.
Because like the drive for me with this is the old stuff.
For sure.
It is Toy Story 2. It is getting to play Jack and Daxter easily. Dark Clouds on there. Ape Escape, so on.
That's one of the things that the launch of this service made me realize, because with Game Pass it was kind of gradual and these things got added over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this service, they kind of did the backwards compatible stuff out of the gate, right? They've got some stuff there, and it made me realize that actually what is quite clever about these kinds of services is they're using different elements to sell to different people. So, for example, a selling point for me is being able to cloud stream some games to my laptop when I go traveling. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. To me, that's valuable, to a million other gamers, they don't care at all about that feature. But they've allowed you to have those tiers with the extra and stuff like that just make it a little bit more accessible. And I still think the one thing they've done that is genuinely the right move, and I'm glad they stuck to it, was allowing people to pay for it yearly at a discounted price. You know, because what they charge monthly is significantly more than it costs if you pay for it yearly. So well done to them on that. And I will be keeping an eye on this service because I think, you know, it's an interesting one. I think just right now, it's hard to say what the value really is because we need to spend some time kind of using it, see how much we use it, and what do we actually get out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like with Game Pass. When people first sign up to Game Pass, everyone sort of goes, oh, is it really worth the money? And it often depends on, oh, if you get that year of Game Pass, how much do you use it in that year? And that's what decides for you whether it's worth that money or not. So PlayStation Plus Premium and Extra as well, we won't really know whether they're worth the money until we see how they pan out over the next 6 to 12 months. You know?
Big time.
I'm
just scrolling through and look, oh, they've got Resogun.
Yeah.
I'm just letting it scroll through and seeing what they've
There are
got.
2 more news items that I want to talk about before we end the show today. And one is related to, I guess, a big topic on our show over the last kind of 12 months or so, which is Activision. And there was some bad news yesterday, at least in the short term, some bad news. And what was that, Sean? What was the bad news around Activision?
Diablo 4 isn't coming out in 2022. Terrible
Crying
news.
shame.
It was heartbreaking.
It is. As someone that has no intention to play it, like I feel that. Like, just can't get over it. Distraught. It's why I'm leaving the podcast. And I'm just going to grieve. I'm quitting my job. I'm just gonna just be in bed all day.
The thing is that the pain of waiting for Diablo, just any Diablo, is so real. I mean, these games take a while. So,
for sure.
I was heartbroken. Yeah.
Now, what was the real bad news?
I mean, yeah, it was the board of Activision Blizzard, as they stand today, approved or renewed the contract for Bobby's not out, right?
They voted him back in as CEO, right?
Unanimously as well.
Yeah,
it was like 500,000
for the next 12 months, which conveniently is literally the exact window where Microsoft said that the acquisition should close by July next year. So 12 months is exactly where that acquisition should close.
Okay. If you take away all of the scandal, it makes a lot of sense financially, and that's all they're looking out for is the financial.
That's the weird thing, right? Is like, I hate to, I'm not trying to ignore what's happened to people at Activision. I do think it's disgusting, and there needs to very clearly be significant change there. But I think it was Luke who said it in our chat of like, if we boycotted all of these companies, we would basically have nothing because
we'd be naked on the street.
Every company has bad people at the top, and you know, what can we do? Like, so in that sense, like you were saying, Sean, it makes sense from a shareholder's perspective, because he's still made them a lot of money over the years, and he knows how to do business. He's just not a good human being.
Yeah. Also, right? The cost of finding a new CEO is exorbitant. Like, these people, right? It's really important. Like, there's only a finite number of people in the world who can run a company like Activision.
For sure.
Right. And to find them and lure them away from what they're currently doing would cost tens of millions.
A lot of money. And also for something that could be a short-term thing, right?
$70 billion. That
For
sounds like a
sure.
nice round
Well,
number for that.
that's one of the things I actually wanted to ask. And Sean, you might know more about this than I do, but most likely when Microsoft closed this acquisition, which seems to be from all the experts the likely thing that will happen, the deal probably will get approved and it probably will be closed. Will they keep a CEO of Activision, or will they just
No,
what will
I
happen?
fully expect him to move on. Not least because I don't think there's a lot in it for him after that point.
For sure, but what I mean is, even if they don't keep him, will they keep that position, or do they not need that?
They'll need a head
once
of
they-
they'll need a head of that
Mm.
that publisher.
Okay.
He won't
I-
necessarily be a CEO, but yeah, there'll be an equivalent.
So there'll be like a head of Activision as
I think
opposed
there needs
to
to be, and I think the person's probably already there, whether it's Mike Ibarra or someone like that.
yeah. And I guess
because-
the other thing is, with it being Microsoft, even if the person isn't there, they've got the money to go out and hire someone, right?
Sure, and I fully expect Bobby to be out once he gets paid for his shares. He can go sail off into the sunset, or take up a new position
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Well,
whatever
this
he
is
wants to do.
exactly what I said yesterday, because I think it was our friend Steve who shared this, and he was very much like, it almost seemed like he was putting the blame on Microsoft for a minute. And then I was kind of like, well, Microsoft had nothing to do with this because they can't do anything until they own the company. And that's why I'm not really concerned, because I still have belief that when they own the company, I think Bobby will be gone as soon as they can get him out of there. There may be a small transition period where he's got to stay for this or that, but I do think as soon as he can be kind of moved on and whatever, I think he will be.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily concerned from the Microsoft side, I guess, because we don't really know what's going to happen with that. But 500,000 to like 7,000 is a big fucking number.
And that's worrying with everything that's happened, right?
Yeah. Like genuinely, you have to be some kind of fucked up to.
I guess it shows how many people in the world just care about money above all else.
Yeah, loads. I work for a company that only gives a shit about money and don't care about the people that work for them.
For sure.
Mostly because there isn't many people that work for them anymore. It is just baffling, and like we're seeing it in so many things. Like wrestling is going through a similar thing at the minute, where like we got this fucking madman running shit.
Yeah.
Like
and he's being investigated for a serious thing, and yet he still wants to show up on TV. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's all weird. It's all fucking weird. You can't escape it. Like,
but I think that's where I go back to exactly what you were saying in the group, though, Luke. Of like, we can't escape these people anyway.
No, you genuinely can't. Like, even down
is
to
boycotting even the right answer? Because what does it really do?
We're kind of acting like, if Microsoft could save the day, would they? Microsoft are not pretty little angels.
No,
of course they aren't.
No.
So
I guess it's the lesser of two evils thing, right? I guess that's how people look at it. Is it can't really be any worse? So, do you know what I mean?
In the immortal words of one Bo Burnham, you're really going to make me vote for Joe Biden. that's literally what life is at the minute. It's like you just have to pick of the lesser of two evils, and that shit's still pretty evil and fucked up, but like it's just not quite as bad necessarily. It might turn out to be worse, who fucking knows?
For sure.
But like it's all just greedy people and like people who are sycophants to the people that are like at the helm because they just want to keep as much money as possible.
It's just like you said, it's the vote thing and the amount that he got voted in by.
It's
just so crazy.
That genuinely surprised me. Like I thought it would be at least a bit close, not fucking.
Yeah,
it was irrelevant. It was a pointless vote at the end.
Do you know? I have heard, and I don't know how true this is, because I don't really know how acquisitions work. But I have heard that part of it is some shareholders may have just voted to keep him in because voting him out could have affected the acquisition in terms of apparently he can appeal and stuff like that. And it's there would have just been a weird legal
Oh, he'd go down
situation
swinging. Yeah.
that would have happened that could have caused problems.
So I take it if
for-
he got voted out, he wouldn't get his payout.
Well, he
necessarily.
would, because he's still a majority shareholder. So like
he still
Right.
he still
out
owns the
anyway.
shares, yeah. But he
yeah.
does get more because of his position in the company, though, right?
Right.
Because he holds that position, I
Mhm.
think he gets more money by holding that position.
Sure.
So yeah, but hey, on to some lighter news. We have a release date to share that got announced today, which is A Plague Tale Requiem, the sequel of A Plague Tale Innocence, has announced its release date of
Was I close to
October
my
the
guess?
18th.
I wasn't close to my guess.
October the 18th. Which I kind of get it. It's a somewhat spooky game in a way, I guess, with these crazy horde of rats and October being Halloween month and everything. It could be a good place for them. The one concern I have is right now there are still a couple of big games out there that we don't know what the dates are on, right?
God of War.
And like, imagine if God of War comes in October. At that point, this game gets flattened, right? Because
I still don't think it's coming this year.
Thing is, I can't see this game performing well sales wise. I know there's
well,
been other
it's Game
one,
Pass day one, so that's going to hurt the
but
sales.
it's not like Outriders where that went day one Game Pass with like a couple weeks before. Right, this has been over a year,
and that's what I mean. So that is going to hurt the sales, right? People knowing that it's day one on Game Pass.
I do wonder if its reputation will kind of bump that though, because like it has got a very good reputation. It's kind of like
and it is a highly anticipated sequel as well.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on that as well. I watched that extended gameplay today, and it doesn't look that great.
No,
you know what I mean? It looks like more of the same with a few extra bells and whistles, but it still looks like a last gen game. And,
it probably was meant to be,
but not just like technically. I mean, like gameplay wise, it's very like I've done that before.
Yeah, they're not pushing the envelope, right, in terms of gameplay.
How big is the studio? They're not very big, right?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure how big Asobo is. They obviously made Flight Sim as well. So we know they've got the technical side of stuff, like they know how to do the technical stuff. I think it's a thing of, you know, I don't
250 employees.
Okay, so a reasonable size, but
fairly big. Well, not fairly big, but yeah, fair sized.
Yeah, that is big, but you would assume they don't have all of those people working on one game, and not all of those people are going to be devs either.
No, you would imagine most people are still pumping Flight Sim.
For sure.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think Game Pass makes sense for them the
Absolutely.
same way that I'm thinking about Back for Blood and other day one Game Pass games where it's like when it came out, those games were not as brilliant as maybe people were expecting.
For sure. This one I think has the potential to break that cycle because the first game was a great game. By most people who played it, they would consider it a great game. But obviously part of that might be because it surprised people, right? The thing in a sequel is you can't surprise people anymore. So what are you doing that's different enough to still have that wow factor? And I don't know if they have that based on what I've seen, but I'm still very intrigued to play it.
The storytelling could still be cool, but I still get that sort of like this gameplay it's really dated now. Like I think back to Ocarina of Time where there's just a selection of guards and you just have to worm your way around the guards using a variety of tricks. And it's like, oh, we've come so much further than this. And don't get me wrong, the game could still get by based on its storytelling chops, which granted the first game had, considering its size and scope, great storytelling chops. But I worry that they didn't think about, I don't know, something more than what I saw today.
I do wonder with games like this, would they even get made if there wasn't like a Game Pass these days? Because it feels like they are not necessarily this one in particular, but it does feel like there are a lot of games that are like aiming for Game Pass.
I know what you mean because I think that the way I would describe it, and it's somewhat positive, in some cases. Something
yeah.
like Pentiment from Obsidian, right? Which obviously is a first-party Xbox title.
Mhm.
But the thing that allows them to take that risk in making that style of game is Game Pass, because they would not be able to make that with the financial risk involved if they were trying to sell it, right, to get their money back, because it would be a much harder thing to do. And then I think the problem is, as you're kind of alluding to, Luke, is when you potentially get games where, you know, maybe they're being made just because it's like, oh, we've got Game Pass as a backup, so even if it doesn't, do you know what I mean? I don't want to be sinister.
Cynical, I think you mean.
Yeah. I don't want to be cynical about it, but it kind of just, I wonder, like you're saying, whether some games they look at Game Pass and they go, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we have to fit, even in terms of like fixing certain things, right? So like Back 4 Blood had problems at launch, and it's like, would more of those things been fixed prior to launch if Game Pass didn't exist?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've brought up before, but Game Pass has this weird safety net where I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I feel like there kind of needs to be some kind of risk reward thing. Like, you know, you don't have to worry about necessarily drawing people in to buy your game anymore because you're getting that windfall from Xbox, no matter what, seemingly.
Absolutely. And you're guaranteeing yourself somewhat of an audience by doing that, right?
Yeah. But like, surely it would be beneficial for Xbox to turn around and be like, I don't know, there's some sort of penalty, or you don't get X if you don't hit this many whatevers. Because it feels a bit too safe, which in a way is good, but it also kind of breeds mediocrity to a degree.
Yeah, there's both sides to it, right? Like it can breed amazing things that we would not have seen without Game Pass.
Yeah, it will enable some people to do excellent things, and it will enable some other people to be lazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to imagine, and I know these conversations exist just through speaking to Jordan and listening to other developers talk. There's points, you know, during a development, especially at maybe a AA team, where you recognize that the game isn't an 8+.
Yeah.
And you just have to get out the door. And then that's probably the time where it's like a call from Phil is quite, or Sarah Bond or whoever it is, Matt Booty, or, you know, whoever you can,
or even the other way around.
Like, guys, we need to get this game out. We'll probably take a deal just to cover the expenses of making the game.
And I mean, you know, I'm not going to go, I don't want to break any NDAs, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but I've only got a few minutes here. But it's just like, it's one of those things where in-game development, you have your budget for a game, right? And you have a little bit of excess for delays and stuff like that. But there does come a time, regardless of the scope and size of your game, there comes a time where you literally run out of money and you have to release the game, even if you know that it's not good enough, to just try and get some of that money back, right? And I think that what Game Pass does in some of those cases is the devs get their money back by having a fee paid by Xbox, right? Whether it be that in some cases they get that fee before the game even comes. So, for example, with Plague Tale, it looks very clear that Xbox have paid for the marketing of that game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in the Nvidia leaks as well, right?
Yeah.
Or not the Nvidia leaks, the Apple stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, so, you know, it's one of those things where something like Plague Tale, for example, they had their marketing paid for, and part of that deal was probably, we'll pay for your marketing, but do day one on Game Pass. And they were probably like, yeah, okay. Because as Sean knows, I'm sure, not necessarily in gaming, but marketing is expensive. Marketing a product and a service or whatever is expensive. So for some of these smaller games, AA games, indies, stuff like that, having their marketing covered in return for a guaranteed kind of audience as well that they get, it is a good thing. Like, they don't lose from that. The problem will become when some of these studios start to figure that out and they go, oh, we can just kind of, you know, push these sequels out the door without changing too much, without really having to think about what we're doing. and we'll always have a platform because Game Pass needs content or because other service needs content. And while that isn't a bad thing in some ways, it can result in bad stuff. And that's the problem, right? It's and that's the thing. I hope that Plague Tale is a sign that, you know, is a game where it's like, okay, it looks the same, but when we play it, are we still going to consider it great? Like Sean said, is it going to be that it has this amazing story for the size and scope of the game, and they've told this really interesting story that people care about? Because ultimately, with that style of game that they're making, the story is the selling point. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially with a sequel, the continuation of that story and that franchise is the selling point of the game. It's not, sure, some people will look at it and go, oh, that gameplay looks cool, and they'll play it because of that, and they'll play it because it's on Game Pass. But the people who were going to play this game either way are the ones who wanted to continue the story, and this game will live and die by that, right? And I just wonder how much having Game Pass as a safety net affects something like the story side of a game, because we can see where it affects potentially the technical side of a game, because games on the technical side can always be fixed later, right? But you can't fix a story. So let's see what they do on that. Well, with all of that being said, guys, I think this is the end of episode 100. Obviously, Sean, your final episode, and Luke, sort of your final episode.
As a permanent boy, yeah.
So anything you guys want to say before we end the episode? It's been a good run. It's been a good fun run, and yeah, hopefully we can, we'll get the original band back together at some point on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah,
maybe for some big milestones and stuff like that.
I'll come back for as long as you'll have me, and I'm grateful. I've had a lot of fun. I love podcasting, so just to be on the other side of it has been insightful. And yeah, thank you, Jordan, for putting this together. And
my pleasure.
I will listen keenly every week just to see where the show goes.
Well, I'm gonna now test you. I'm gonna test you by saying that every week I'm gonna make some sort of Sean comment, and I want you to tell me what it is, and then I'll know if you listen.
Deal. No problem. Challenge accepted.
Luke, anything to kind of say before we sign off here?
Not massively, because I'm still going to be about. It's just a bit less often, sort of thing.
For sure.
Still eating.
So I'm
sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna
mostly sleeping.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't put breathing in there, because asthmatic. That's not the one.
Sure.
No, I'm still going to be about. Obviously, I'm still going to be on the channel much more than I was before, because obviously doing the gameplay stuff is easier to turn around and quicker to put out and stuff like that, and it's more fun.
And who knows, with this bit of separation, maybe me and you will do some gameplay stuff together, or
I mean, we've already talked about doing Redfall, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
maybe do one video on that. That'd be fun. Because
So yeah, we'll figure that out. But
capacity for that now.
I just want to say a final thank you to you guys, because as I said earlier, this show would not exist without you. So thank you for all your help, and I'm sure that I will be needing you guys to help me at some point in the future while I kind of start to figure all this stuff out. I mean, I know, Luke, you've said you'll still make the thumbnails and stuff, so people can see Luke's handiwork in all the YouTube thumbnails. And Sean, I'm sure you'll be helping me figure out audio and editing and stuff like that, because apparently it's my job now. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, I did nothing for mine. I literally just made sure it was synced up.
True.
I did bugger all for my lot.
So yeah, please forgive us if the quality is a little bit weird for a few weeks, just because things are going to be transitioning. I need to figure stuff out. As I said, the show is going to look a little bit different in the future. But if you follow us on Twitter at G4A Network and also at Eat Sleep Game, you'll know about all that stuff. Obviously, subscribe on YouTube at Eat Sleep Game. You can also follow us on Spotify by searching Game for All, and we will show up there as the Game for All show.
Oh, you can find Eat Sleep Game and Eat Sleep Game on like TikTok and stuff now as well. I'm sharing shorts on there.
You're doing the shorts.
They do very well.
So we'll link all of that stuff below. Luke's good at doing that, and I'm sure I'll keep getting him to do that because I'll forget.
Well, it's on the banner of the YouTube page.
Nice.
Which is incredibly helpful.
So yeah, and if you're new, please subscribe, but just know that you may never see these two ever again.
You'll see me, just maybe not on this very much.
And thank you for joining us for this 100th episode, and goodbye.